Here we go.
Oh, okay.
Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Rippily Show. How's everybody doing today? Everybody doing well? Let us know how you're doing in the chat if you're over in our gallery or in our virtual live studio audience, or if you're over on YouTube, we want to hear from you as well. Let us know how you're doing, where you're joining from, and let us know if you are plugged completely into Rippily. Do you have an account on Rippily? Now that Rippily is open to everyone, we definitely want to hear if you're already on the platform or if you're just exploring, if you're just testing the waters here in Rippily. Today, we are going to kick off our series about where we're looking at different use cases here on the Rippily platform. But today we're going to start with something that not is got exactly looking at a specific case, but it's what you should do no matter which use case you are falling into for your Rippily spaces. So we're not starting with building, features, design. We're going before all of that because today kicks off our brand new series, Use Cases Designing Spaces That Actually Work. And the first step is the pre-build audit. Now, I know for some people who like to just get their hands dirty and jump in, this might not sound like the most exciting place to begin, but allow me to say this as clearly as I can. This is the step that determines whether everything you build after this works or falls flat. Because here's what I see happening all the time. People get excited, they jump in, they start dragging, dropping, creating, adding, feeding the bunny. If you know, you know. And before they even realize it, they've built something that looks good, but it doesn't actually fulfill what they're trying to fulfill for their audience and for themselves. And so it's not because you're not a creative person. A lot of people have really great ideas, but sometimes we skip that first step. Asking yourselves important questions like, why am I building this? Who is it actually for? And what experience do they need to have when they walk through my virtual doors? So we are going to dive into all of that today. And without further ado, I want to bring on the amazing creator of Rippily, who always has something to share about the process of building virtual spaces as well. Please welcome back to the show, Claudio Perrone. Welcome.
Yeah. Not today. I have zero process actually.
What do you mean? I don't believe that for 1 second that you don't have anything to say about this topic today, but I think it'll be
I
good.
wing it. I wing it.
Every time. Every time. But before we get into the topic today, you of course are always working on things behind the scenes of Rippily. And so what are the things that you've been working on this week?
So there is a couple of big things behind the scenes. There's one that you will never see because it's some big performance improvement. There is another one that Peggy told me, do not say anything until something happens, like a big event happens. So I will wait for that. It's not ready anyway. And although there's been already some leaks, I must say. And then the other thing is it's more related to, I guess, how do you call this? usability, as in the ability for people who may have a problem with a dark sort of theme. So I just actually released it with issues. so I need to do another release pretty much like super soon, because it leaked into areas that I didn't want to do this. But I can actually quickly share this, like, if you want. And basically is a light theme. And again, it's more than anything else is for readability, right? Especially now that we're, I don't know, moving towards like spring, summertime, and there's people who apparently build rooms with the sun behind their back. And so they complain they cannot see the screen. Duh! But obviously a dark theme doesn't help, right? So let me just share here. And here we go. And are you ready for this? It will obliterate your vision there. Let me click on this.
Put your sunglasses on, everybody.
Exactly. And it's basically really black and white. And the reason is, if you start putting too many accents, too many colored tones, it's fine as a theme, and maybe in the future we'll have like a little bit of a theme, but this one is designed specifically for high contrast and let the actual images of the ripples and wave to stand out, right? You don't want to steal information from that. So yeah, exactly. It's for accessibility. I see Jackie there who just wrote it, and indeed I wrote it for you, for Maria, for a number of people who might have readability issues. I also added a little bit more contrast on the current ocean theme, the one that we normally use. And so the only problem is I need to re-release simply because I didn't want to touch the actual ripple experience. That's going to still be this one, like the normal dark grayish color. Because when you do that right now, it's really too white, and so that's the point. In any case, so it's kind of a chrome sort of black and white experience, and it's really for accessibility as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it's nice to have the choice, even though before the show, all of us in the studio audience were having a good laugh and having a good chat really about how many of us use the dark mode and the light mode. And there is sort of, I think, an in between too that we were realizing in conversation that people have. And so, but it is nice, I think, to have choices, like you said, for the accessibility reasons. We definitely want everybody to be able to not just enjoy their experience, but be able to have an experience because they can read things well.
Yeah, and I mean the system now is tokenized. Basically what it means is I can actually quite easily now add themes if I want to, new themes if I want to. However, it's always a problem of then you spend a lot of time trying to design like a perfect theme, and then if I start actually putting analytics on that, you realize, well, not many people they go with the default. Most people don't go with the default, and so it's a huge waste of time as well. Right.
Well, it's looking good. And I think people will appreciate it for sure. We've already seen some chatter in the chat about it. Anything else in particular that you wanted to mention today, Claudio? I know you're working on a bunch of things behind the scenes, but we'll talk more about those when they come out and about. You mentioned last week that we were talking about bubbles and things like that as well. How is that? Are people starting to grasp that concept a little better, you think?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I saw some screenshots with, I don't know how many bubbles, but I got scared on how people are, beginning to think in terms of how to group resources and access for people. There are some edge cases that I'm fixing actually in this couple of days now. Because last week, for example, a lot of the work has been into simplify the invitation flow. right? So I can create bubbles, but then what happens when people who've never been into Rippily are invited and they need to join? So they need to register or not, depending if they are guests or if they're not, if the bubble is protected, if it's open. So there's a lot of cases. And last week I did a lot of work. In the last few days I've done a lot of work to simplify that flow of work, and that's an ongoing process.
Yeah. I know you're doing a lot behind the scenes, and we're gonna have to just be patient and wait until you share more about that. But I really appreciate, and I think I speak for everyone when I say that we appreciate the attention to detail that you're putting for that new user experience, because the whole point even for those of us that have been here from the beginning is growing our communities, growing our spaces, and we want our people that are coming in to have that good first experience, so then they want to come back. So this is a win-win for everybody, I think.
And really, like, thinking about like the order of things. I know we're talking about, we're going to talk about, I don't know, I assume is an audit like a checklist or something.
Yeah.
Well, imagine that before you really go large in the expansion of Rippily, there's a number of things that need to be done somewhat in a sequence. And if I go out of sequence and this Rippily basically catch on too quickly, it might lead to problems, right? So that's why the invitation is important. There's a number of things that are really important.
Right. Well, before we get into the topic, I'm going to launch a poll in the chat for everybody. And we want to know, what type of space are you most interested in building right now? A host-led, a guided experience, self-led, exploration-based, hybrid, mix of both, or you're not sure? Or that could be, the not sure could also be an other as well. But let us know what types of spaces you're most interested in building right now. And it is this whole process of thinking about auditing. It's not even really auditing the space, it's auditing kind of our thought process of what we need to think about before we start building. Because I can speak from experience when I tell you that it is more difficult to build things out and then realize, oh, this isn't going to work for what I hoped for it to accomplish. And so we have kind of a checklist for those of you that are in the live studio audience today. In your swag bag, you get a Rippily Pre-Build Audit, which has, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 questions on there that you can ask yourselves before you build a room. But we're going to kind of go through those categories, and I would love to hear both your opinion on things as well as another very special person who is fresh out of surgery. She's healing and doing well. Everybody, please welcome back to the show, Peggy McCartha.
I missed you guys last week. I was sitting quietly last week, so I am no longer quiet. That's what healing does. Like, you guys had a quiet Peggy for like a whole week, and that was it.
I love it. Well, we are glad that you're back. All right. So this topic that we are going to get into today, we're going to kind of go through these different categories. And it may seem like it's simple, but I would love to hear from you guys, maybe your thoughts on how important thinking about these things are, or some of the things that you learned in thinking about these things as well. The first one is, why are you building this? What's your reason for wanting to do this, period? How important? I mean, I'm sure you thought about that, Claudio. Why do I even want to build Rippily?
Did I? Probably. No, but I always think in terms of positioning, right? As you know, I always set a compass first. What is the direction? So if you don't have that, why you even you're basically wasting time. Yeah, you're doing a lot of busyness activity that leads to nothing. So that definitely, I cannot disagree with that as a first point. Why are you doing this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that having a plan is always, always, always important, because and I'm always saying to people, just because you can doesn't mean you should. because, we can add this and we can add that, but should we? Is it effective? Is it pushing people towards the goal? Because otherwise it's just, now, if anybody that's been in my personal office, I have a whole bunch of like silly stuff because that's where it belongs, is like, we're just sitting there. But my professional office doesn't have all the little bells and whistles because I don't want you distracted. I want to actually be talking to you about these things. So, really thinking about what's going to happen in the space, in your room, in your Ripple, what's happening and what do you need there?
Yeah. And we'll get into more of that in a minute, but thinking about the why are we building the space? I think for me, so even just thinking about the Rippily Show here, why did I want to do something like this? And it was selfishly because it hadn't been done and I wanted to see if we could. And I was sharing with someone earlier that that's a good enough reason as any to start to build something, is, if you want to try it and give it a go. But I think sometimes our expectations of what is going to happen with building that needs to match, it has to match a little bit that reason why, because I think sometimes we go, oh, I want to do this because it's never been done. And I also want to make $9 million while I'm doing it. Maybe there's some things that happen in between, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. The second sort of section that I have in this audit is, who is this actually for? Who are we building it for? And I think sometimes, there's part of it where we say, this is something I would use or I really want to do too, but that at the end of the day, that's not going to grow a community. You want to think about who else beside you that you want to build it for. You have any thoughts about that, Claudio?
Yeah, I mean, again, next step in generally any effort I try to, to accomplish any, whatever, it would be the ideal client persona, right? The ICP, basically, it's called. You can, and a lot of AI would know about it if you just say generate the ideal client persona for this, and so basically you're saying why are you positioning, why you're doing this. Next one is who actually would benefit for that, and so you start. You begin with the end in mind, basically, right? You're building something to serve someone else, so you need to have some understanding of who this someone else is. That's as basic as that. What are they trying to accomplish? What are their fears? What are the obstacles they face when they are trying to accomplish that? That's what, persona, not as, this is Jessica, this is the age, or what are not the demographics, is really like, what are they trying to accomplish? What obstacles do they find? What are their aspirations? Those kind of things.
I think that's good because, I don't know about you, Peggy, but I've heard people get caught up in that. They get stuck on that because they do kind of confuse sort of what's their journey with, like, what are they male or female? Are they, how much money do they make? Are they, like, where do they live? How old are they? Those types of things. I think they confuse creating like an avatar. I think people get stuck on it. Have you seen that too, Peggy?
I think so. And I think people kind of spend a lot of time going in the wrong direction with that. I know as a photographer, I was a photographer for a bazillion years, and people used to say, who's your ideal client? And I used to say anybody with a face. Yeah. Because, like, that's what I take pictures of, people with faces. Right. But the reality is that's not true, because there's a lot of people with faces that I don't want to be stuck in my studio with for an hour because I don't like them. And so when I started thinking about who I actually wanted to work with, they, not just people that need, senior pictures, not just people that need business pictures, but actually what kind of a person do I want to work with? And started focusing on marketing to the kind of people that I wanted to surround myself with. I found that was an easier way to bring my ideal clients to me, because then there are people that I actually want to hang out with that happen to have these problems that I solve, and they don't suck my energy out of me. Instead, I'm excited, I'm happy. So sometimes we overthink that whole avatar thing, and we talk ourselves into worrying about like people that have this specific problem instead of people that want to solve problems in this specific way that we like to solve problems. And when we do that, when we build something that we feel comfortable in, then the people that we want to be around are going to feel comfortable in it too, because there are people. So sometimes not overthinking the whole age and, they have to be here and they have to make this amount of money, but just actually people that we want to surround ourselves with that will fall into that category easily.
Yeah, I think there is an historical reason about, and the bad rap as well, the personas are getting, especially the big marketing personas, heavy fields with a lot of properties with demographics, is because when it started with, companies who would sell, I don't know, dishwasher products, stuff like that. And so it somewhat made sense, but for the majority of people, all this extra information is just noise. It adds nothing to the persona itself. What they are trying to accomplish is like why people go to a concert. People go and they may be of any form and shape and whatever. They go there to be entertained. It doesn't matter if they're men, women, or whatever. Now, of course, there are situations where you would identify certain patterns, but that's mostly irrelevant.
Right. I know too that I want to go back. Sorry, I want to go back to the poll that we had in the chat to beginning. Have you ever done a pre-build audit before creating something? And let's see, the highest percentage was I've thought about it, but I haven't really implemented a pre-build audit yet. And then we had equal amounts of sometimes, but not consistently. 3, we had people say they do it every time. Now, what an audit looks like might be a little different, right? We need to specify that as well. But we also had someone who said, no, this is new to me. And I think it's a good thing to think about. The next question or the next category that we have in the audit is, what type of space is this that you're building? And so I'd asked in the chat, what type of space are you most interested in building right now? And the big majority of people are looking for a hybrid of spaces, a mix of both self-led and host-led. And you really have a lot of settings here on Rippily, Claudio, that can help people when they start to get into building to customize between those two categories or have that hybrid mix of both. What are some of your favorite things that you have here on the platform that could help with that?
Well, like typical host-led would be like features like a timer, for example, right? A timer doesn't make sense if it's self-led, where people enter and they just consume whatever is inside. So a timer to me is just represent. I mean, there's other features for sure, right? Even the poll, there's a number of things like that. But to me, these are features that represent the idea I'm hosting an event. There's people coming in. Even having, I don't know, presenter only assignments on drops, right? Or moderators drops. Again, snapshots. There's a number of things that work when you're hosting the event. And then there's a billion others that are actually designed to help you self-drive yourself, right? So there's a lot of stuff on storytelling, instructional design, where you can click to different scenes, navigate, and it's only you who is having the experience, and that gives agency to people who actually enter a room.
Right. How about you, Peggy? Do you have in your communities, do you have a mix of spaces? Are yours focused one more than the other?
I feel like I really believe that Rippily is a powerful landing page. So I do have the self-led, like, hey, come here for information, come here to, figure out what's going on, how you can get involved, why you should get involved. But I also I think most of the spaces I make are probably more hybrid with that in mind. Like, hey, if you come here, you can find out information, but we can also, and I don't know. I mean, I have co-working spaces. I have, get shit done spaces. I have networking spaces, which are all group things. But I think I have quite a mix, actually, now that I say it out loud. But I think when I'm talking to people, I'm always encouraging them to think in a hybrid way. Like, I'm always encouraging. To me, it's easy. The self-led, I mean, the host-led is easy because you just need a space with drops on it that we can go and gather together. But when people come when you're not there, that's when you need to think about like what
Right.
that experience is. Where are they going to go first? Is there a video for them to watch? Are there things for them to click on? And you have to like really walk through as the person and really feel that experience when it's self-led.
Right. And I think it's more important than ever on Rippily because of the discoverability factor to be more conscious of what does it look like if someone comes into this space and I'm not here. It's even more important to think about that. So even if you say, okay, I want all of my spaces to be host-led, a guided experience. If a host is not there, and let's say that the Ripple is open, what are they going to see when they come in? Are they going to know when you're there? Is there clear instructions of what's going to happen during the host experiences and all of that? And so it is really important on Rippily to pay attention to what type of space it is, but also remembering that no matter what type of space you choose, it's going to be really important that people can still find their way. And that goes back to some of what we were talking about in the beginning as well, Claudio, of people's experience when they come on the platform for the first time as well.
Yeah, and sometimes it may be just as easy as either in the lock or in a button, write something like, can't you find me here? Book a meeting now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Easy peasy. Just little button. That's it. Just give people somewhere to go. One of my favorite parts of looking at like going through an audit before you create a space is looking at what success of the space will look like to you. Now, some people don't think about that before, but and I put a poll in the chat. How do you currently define success for what you're building? And the options for that were engagement, people show up and interact; retention, people come back; the outcomes that people get, the transformation and results, or I haven't clearly defined that yet. What would you say, Claudio, from your perspective?
It depends on it. To be honest, it depends. I always think in terms of activation, retention, referral, right? Mm-hmm. So based on that, retention is definitely a good one, but activation as well is how would we measure their very first time experience, or so it depends on the situation, and it depends on the time of, for how long have you done this, right? So if we've been running like a number of events over time, then you want definitely, do people come back?
Right.
So I'll give you an example, right? In the dive, you're a master of badges. You're a master on getting people engaged. You're a master on different things at different level, right? But you could actually say, well, I'm going to measure the success of this event based on how many people come back to me with proof that they've done the room, that we're supposed to, so I can give them a badge. Yeah. So number of badge given, not so much the number of badge, because that's, it would change based on presence, but it could be based on a number of people who are present, how many of them did actually build a room with me. Right. So it's a ratio. It's even more important than an actual number. This week I've done 5 badges, and I gave 5 badges. Next week I gave 10. Well, it depends on how many people were there.
Right. What are your thoughts on that, Peggy?
I agree. But I think for me, it's retention. Like that's my, like, it's great that you came in once, but are you going to come back? And are you going to get involved? And are you going to come in and turn on your camera and unmute your mic and be part of the conversation? Or are you just going to come and sit, over in the corner, not get involved in the chat, not get involved in the conversation? Then I'm like, okay, well, I need to revisit this, because why is this person coming yet not getting engaged? Is it something I'm doing? Is it something they're going through? Those are things that always, go through my head. I'm always wondering, because sometimes it's just, sometimes people need to have a safe space that they can just come and listen and not feel the pressure to get involved. And that is also okay. But those are things that I'm always going through in my head. Like, is it something they need, or am I doing something wrong? Like, how can we adjust this? Because, ultimately I want people engaged and I want them coming back every single time.
Right. Right. I almost think it's a sort of process that you have to go through, where you need to prioritize things at different times. I do think that what Claudio is saying about the activation is so important, because if that first time experience is not good, the likelihood for them to come back, for them to engage or have any kind of outcome is pretty much gone. Okay. So, I mean, it's a higher percentage. You're going to have to work a lot harder to get them to come back if they don't have that good first time experience. But then also, depending on the type of space that it is, which is why this is included in a pre-build audit, it's going to depend on, is this even like a transformative experience? Are there specific outcomes that need to happen in this space? Is it something where people are going to need to engage with things, or, feed a bunny, or, click on a button or whatever in the space? Or is it something that they're just coming to listen? Is there anything that needs to happen? So that's why the success or the outcome of the space is so important to look at as you're going through this pre-build audit. The final section that I have in the worksheet that I included in the swag bag is about an alignment check. So after you've kind of gone through things and you've built your space, go back through all of the things that are in your room and figure out, does the design match the purpose? Does the experience match what your audience needs? And are you building something useful and not just impressive? Depending on what the purpose of the space, it could be to impress. If the idea is to impress and you impress, great. But if that's not the purpose of it, we need to think a little. We're not all building Nikos. So literally the first thing I thought of was Nico's room, which, you guys will hopefully get to see here on Rippily soon.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have that in the expo, Claudio. Hopefully you'll have that all.
Definitely.
No pressure.
No pressure. Just,
I'm more than halfway through, so definitely will come out. But I love the last question. Is it only impressive, or actually does what was it exactly?
Are you building something useful and not just impressive?
Yeah.
Like, what's the goal
That's
here?
the thing, right? Because it forces you. It should really be really early, not just at the end. Is really like something that you would keep constantly in mind.
Yeah.
Because it ties back to the purpose, right?
Yeah.
You have a purpose, and then you create a plan, right? And so, but once you create the plan, you look at the outcome of what you come up with, and you look back and to say, does it tie into the purpose?
Right.
I think the other thing to really remember is that these are living, breathing things. We're dealing with humans, so it's never done. Like, you finish this room, you've done your audit, you're like, oh, this is great. Well, next month, maybe the needs of the people have changed. So there'll need to be a tweak here and a tweak there. And so I don't think there's ever the perfect finished space. Not if you're dealing with people, there's always going to be new needs. There's going to be different people that come in that have, that maybe your current group has now grown and matured, and now they have different needs. And, so yeah, it's never over. You never win.
In software development, right, we used to have this concept of post-mortem, right? So project is dead. Let's reflect on how the project went. And in theory, it's good to save the next project. The problem with that is it's too late to save the project where you're in, right? And so like in Agile for software development, we started actually saying, no. We need to have a retrospective every week or every couple of weeks, right? So at regular intervals. So again, this is a really good idea, is to at regular intervals, once you have, assuming that you're doing a regular event, but even if you're not, even if it's one single event, is to take a little bit of time to reflect of, how things could have been, how can improve. Basically is what went well, what didn't go that well, and based on that, what am I going to do next?
Right.
And then you can do more, do less, keep doing, start doing, stop doing.
Yeah. And there's always something to be said for kind of these checkpoints that we have once we've created our community or our virtual spaces, to go back and sort of re-audit, look over, the audit that we did and say, hey, are we still on track for what we're trying to do? Is there anything I need to shift? Like Debbie was talking about in the chat, once they come in and they love it and interact, that encourages me to do even more for retention. So it allows us to, kind of rethink the things that we've done. And it never hurts to check in with stuff that we've already done or learned before, which brings me to the fact that we are going to be doing some fun activities in the Rippily Dive coming up on Saturday. Check it out. Every Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, we have the Rippily Dive. And say hello, everybody, to our fabulous studio audience today.
Yay.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. I know that I wanted to really quickly shout out to Coach Debbie Jeter that was on the show last week. We had so much fun with Debbie. And one of the things that I love about Debbie loves to print out the tickets for the show. She will print them out and she will have them wave them in the air like a golden ticket. She is going to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory with her golden ticket. It's so good. And then also, I know Debbie, you really love to participate in the dives as well. How has that experience been for you, if you would like to share for just a minute of doing these sort of build along activities with the community?
They're great because it stretches my imagination. Just when you think that, you've got this, I always say, if you're the sharpest tool in your shed, you need a new shed. And so it stretches me every week. And I learn so much. It's just amazing, the brilliance that's there. I love that we have the opportunity to come together in the dive and just work together, grow together, and explore together.
Yes. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you for sharing that. I know it's a lot of fun. And I know, Artemis, even for you, you have done a lot of really amazing builds here on Rippily. I want to point that you have a lot of interactive things in your spaces. As someone who maybe is a little more advanced in the building, do you still find value in coming to the dives on Saturdays?
Every single one. I always learn something. And Jess, your lessons are great to work through. And I love the way that you'll pause and make sure people are on track. And at the end, everybody's got something they can be happy with and maybe have a few surprises.
Yeah. Every now and then we like to pour a bunch of glitter on what we've done at the end of the thing. So thank you for that, Artemis. And I do think it's important sometimes, right, to go back to things that maybe we have done in the past, and maybe there's new ways to do things, or maybe there's easier ways to do things, or maybe we just need a refresher and we just need to remind ourselves how to do simple things. So the next dive this coming Saturday, I'm very excited. We're going to be doing an off-on Ripley Dive, and we're going to be turning things off and on. It could be a light, could be music, could be something that needs to pop up in the room. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. So I hope you'll join us 11:30 a.m. Eastern time every Saturday. And you just go to Ripley Central and we'll be there in the beautiful Riviera that Claudio created for us, which is always a good time. So we'll see you there on Saturday. Any final thoughts that you guys have about our topic today, about really taking that time to think about what you're creating before you jump in to create? Claudio?
First thing that comes to mind is there was a book called The Checklist Manifesto. It was basically taking references from aviation, right? Aviation evolved over time. And obviously now the mortality incidents like are really, really low compared to the number of flights that you have. And apparently a lot of that is due to the fact that pilots have extensive checklists. Now, of course, we are talking about something that is very repeatable processes, where maybe in our case, that's not the case, or at least we have a lot more flexibility to that. But I'm kind of thinking, well, you know what? It's not that we start a community every 2 weeks or something like that, but there is something to it, where we start actually to create, shall I say the word standard operating procedures? But basically, we create a list of stuff. But also, I would maybe invite people to talk to others, because I don't have to invent everything when maybe Jessica is doing some other aspect of what I need to do already, and maybe I can ask for advice. We are like a growing community, so I love the idea that we're learning from each other.
Right. Thoughts, Peggy, on our auditing before we build?
Well, I just think that you should always have an idea of what you're doing, but I think this is something that Claudio said, like very opinionated, but also very quick to change. And I think that a lot of times we get really rigid in, no, I'm going to build this, I'm going to do this. And then we we'll do it no matter what. And that no matter what makes us miss all of the magic that could have happened. So have your audit, have your ideas, have your plan, have your maps and your all of your ideas. But as you're building, be free to change and go, oh, I actually don't need this, or, oh, I should add this, or, oh, this isn't going to work at all. And just go with the flow. Go with the flow, and don't be afraid to go outside of that. You can't break the rules if you don't know the rules. So set up the thing first, and then you can break your own rules.
I love that someone in the chat said nothing is as sure as the next change. And I say that all the time. That's the only thing. I mean, we'll get a little spiritual for a moment here on the show. There's nothing guaranteed in this life except that things are going to change eventually, somehow, some way. They're changing right now as we speak. And so I think we have to just learn to roll with things. We can do this audit. We can plan as best we can, and then audit again and reevaluate and try again. And Claudio knows a little something about that with the popcorn and the experimentation and all of that fun stuff as well. So it's good. It's good. We did have a newbie question come in today that I would love to take a minute to answer, since we have a couple minutes here. Somebody was asking about people being alerted when people come into the room. Claudio, are you able to talk about really quickly the webhooks that you have? And also we have notifications, but we also have the webhooks, I think is what she might be referring to.
Yeah, so there's both actually, but generally webhooks would be the way to go. And so you go inside the Wave, so your community, when you go to the settings, one of the tabs is webhooks. And basically you can connect to, say, Pabbly, Zapier, Discord, for sure someone can help you out to set it up. Like in my case, I have it attached to Pusher. And so I think it's called Pusher.
Pushover.
Push over. That's it. Yeah. And so I get a notification on my phone every time someone joins any Ripple in my wave. Now, you don't have to necessarily go there and, all the time be there and present. Do you need anything? Do you need that? Hello, hello, hello. Like, like in a shop or something. But it's good to know who comes in and maybe help if they stay around.
I mean, that's a great thing that can help us determine one of those points of success as well. If we are setting up a room or Ripple to be sort of self-sufficient and guest led, then if we can tell with those webhooks when somebody comes in, how long are they spending there? And are they able to do the things so it could be another little tool to help us with our auditing process as well, which is great. And there are amazing people in the community that Peggy helped me because I didn't know what I was doing with the webhooks. So, and then Claudio helped Peggy, and I know Shadows has helped Debbie, and so lots of people. We're all willing to help here, which is one of the amazing things in the Ripply community. We have so many amazing helpers that are always excited to see what you need and jump in where necessary. So all of that said, I'm really excited because, like I said, this month we are really focusing on those use cases within Ripply, within our virtual spaces. Coming up next episode, we're going to be talking about co-working spaces, consistency and flow. There are several of us that host co-working within Ripply. We're going to be the next week talking about classes, workshops, and teaching spaces. The following week, we'll talk about open discussions and roundtables. And then on the doorstep of the next Global Business Expo, we'll be talking about events, expos, open houses, and self-led spaces as well. And then the following week, it's very exciting. On June 9th, we are having the Global Business Expo, and the Rippily Show will be live from the expo. Are we excited, everybody?
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Very good.
It's going to be
coverage. It's going to be amazing.
We're going to be live. I might have we might have a little shift up. You guys, how are we feeling about maybe a red carpet? Should we have a red carpet? Some cameras flashing. We'll have a good. It'll be a lot of fun. So make sure you guys are paying attention to that. In order to get the amazing swag bags that we have for the Rippily Show and get to be a part of our before the show and red carpet experiences, you can go and apply to be in the studio audience. The link is pinned in the chat here inside of our studio. And so we would love to have you apply. Definitely, I have a feeling there's going to be some really amazing things happening for that live episode from the expo. So make sure you guys get on the list if you want to be first in the know for that. We have some new swag in the bag for this month. Kicking things off, I've got that pre-build audit for you in the bag. And then Peggy put something amazing in the bag. You want to tell everybody about that?
So my non-Ripply life, I help people show up on camera and I help them make sure that their lighting is right and that their posture is right. And so when they show up to do a podcast or a video, that they are coming across and we're using all of the psychology of images and lighting and camera angles to make that happen. And so what I am offering is to record with you a welcome video to your Ripply room. So I will be on the other end. I will make sure that you're projecting, that you, and not only that, but I'll be asking you questions and helping you so that you're comfortable and it feels conversational and your tone is right. And so that is a high ticket item. So please take advantage of it. And that is for all of our live audio studio, live studio audience. There we go. I will help you talk in your videos.
That's part of it though, right? Like we're human. we're human, period, end of story. And whether you are trying to show up on camera or building a new community or launching a global platform, whatever it is, we're going to be human. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to fluff things up every now and then, and it'll be fine. The world will go on, and we'll all be here to be there with you for the good, the bad, and the ugly here inside the Rippily community. All right, everybody. It has been a fantastic show. We will be back, of course, next Tuesday. We're here every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern time for the Rippily Show. Like I said, next week, we're going to dive into talking about co-working spaces. Really looking forward to that. And until next time, everybody, I invite you to keep exploring. If you haven't gotten a Rippily account yet, go to rippily.com, rippily.com. Get your account and come on and join us inside. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas. This is Claudio Perrone, Peggy McCartha, and we will see you next time for an all-new episode of The Rippily Show. Bye, everybody.